and they wanna live this life on purpose. Go find some purpose. I've done so much bird now.
So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the country. This is your girl Purpose, and it is my first podcast show, and I'm so excited to bring to you all the excitement, all the knowledge that I have, all the wisdom, all the power to impact you on your life that is fulfilled with purpose. So once again, this is your girl Purpose. I'm so happy that you have decided to tune in to listen to me. Most of you may know that we normally do live events, and that is still happening, but that is now going to be happening every 3 months. So you can now catch us on podcasts every single month, and every single month I would have a guest speaker, because it's my first one. I thought I'd come and introduce myself to the world. You can catch me on Facebook, Instagram. You can catch me on TikTok and Spotify and YouTube. So I think that's all the social medias that I'm on at the moment. And just tap in Purpose Talks #1 UK, and that's most of my social medias have the same name. So let's get right into it. So purpose. Oh my gosh, it's such an amazing word. Like, everybody has a purpose. I just want to repeat that again. Every single one of you listening to me has a purpose. And how do I know that? Because every single one of us was uniquely designed for a purpose, for something to do in the world that the world is waiting for and needs to see. So I'm here to try and help you, and my guests will be here to help you identify who you are and why you are created. And I'm very creative, so I'll be doing it through creativity. So let's start the journey. Let's go. I just want to give you a little bit about myself, who I am, what I am, and why I talk about purpose so much. So growing up as a young girl, I grew up in Brixton. I went through so much traumatic things, and I saw a lot of traumatic things happen in life. And I always used to wonder, why do we need to live in this poverty state? Why is it that we go through so much things? Why are we not seeing what life should really be, what I thought, like the fairy tales in the books that we used to read at school? Why is there never a happy ever ending in this story? Why are we always hearing about someone being killed, someone being murdered, someone going to prison, all the really not so nice things? And I used to think as a child, I really want to change that. And unfortunately, with my lifestyle that I was living at the time, I became a young mum at the tender age of 16. And I knew at that time that I really needed to love this child. There was a reason why I had her, but I didn't know at the time of what am I doing at 16 with a newborn baby. I didn't know what to do, if I'm honest. All I knew is that I wanted to dress her up like a dolly, and I had a girl, and I was so excited to have a girl child. But growing up and looking back on my life, like becoming a mum of 3 by the age of 24, I was always looking or searching for something to fill the void, and I didn't know what it was. And during that time, I went to college, I had a job, I had my own place, I had a partner, I was doing all the right things, what I thought was right, but I wasn't fulfilled. There was something empty, there was something missing inside of me. Fast tracking a little bit, I remember I ended up going to church one New Year's Eve, and I gave my life to Christ. And I just knew that there was something more for me to do. Now, this podcast isn't about religion. It's not about, if you're not a Christian, you can't be on the podcast. No, it's about purpose. Now, then I started looking into my life and thinking, okay, so you went through this traumatic childhood, and you saw all these killings and some deaths and heard some stories, and became sexually active at a very young age and became pregnant. And then you've gone into the church life, and you've kind of like found that and go to church every single Sunday, every single Friday, Bible study, etc. You've done all of that part, and then you've been the little girlfriend at home, wash, cook, clean, looking after the kids, and you've done all of that part. And then you've been the friend that you go to raving, you put on your little clothes, you wind up yourself and do all of it. You've done that part. But when do you do you? And that was the question I had to ask myself. When do you actually do you? When do you actually take off the mask of the church mask, the teen mum mask, the winding up yourself mask, wearing short clothes, revealing clothes mask, being the girlfriend mask, and actually facing yourself? And that was the biggest fear for me, actually finding who I was. And I was so lost. I was so lost. I was completely lost. I didn't know Once I took off their mask and I was completely naked, I didn't know what to do and who I was and where to go. So I started looking into things, or started just doing things like a copycat almost. Like, oh my God, well, my friends are doing that, then that must be me. And then I used to be sad when I used to go home, because I used to think, well, that's not me. I actually don't want to dance. I don't want to have this boyfriend. I don't want to be this teen lone parent. I don't want to be this friend that's gossiping. I don't want to be this girl that's just going to church and not having any form of relationship with God. I actually don't want to be her. And I'm thinking, how am I going to change who I want to be and be accepted by people that only want me to be who they have wanted me to be? And that transition was the hardest thing I ever done in my life, because during that transition, and because when you're changing, people don't like change. So they start not liking you no more, or saying things about you, or not accept you, and questioning, who do you think you are? Because you no longer want to do them things. You no longer speak a certain way. You no longer mix with a certain crowd. And it's okay. I'm here to tell you that it's okay to change for purpose. And I looked at all the painful situations that I went through, and I thought, right, I need to go through a process now. I need to get some therapy. I need to get some counseling. I need to get some real help so I can identify the true girl behind these masks. And it took a long time. And to be honest, I'm still going through certain processes. No one is perfect. I haven't reached where I need to be, but I'm definitely in a better healing place, a better healing position. I used to be so like everything I said had to be right. I never liked to apologize. I never liked to look at my bad habits. But the problem with this is, with all of these things, there was no boundaries. I never put no boundaries in place for myself. So no one had no boundaries when they was addressing me. Now I walk in my purpose. Now I understand why I had to go through them things, because I was going to be bold enough to do a podcast like this, to talk about purpose, to understand the process, that the pain was necessary that I had to go through. So everything that I put myself through, everything that I allowed people to put me through, has brought me to a stage here. And now I'm quite a successful businesswoman now, and I have a few businesses, and I'm a motivational speaker. And I'm so proud of that, because I'm making you know, whether you're a woman or a man, a Christian or a Muslim, you have a purpose. Even if you're an atheist, you have a purpose. And don't you dare let anyone tell you any different. Don't you let no one say to you, oh, because you went through this, or because you used to do this. Your past is your past. It's a past context. You know, no one actually looks in people's past and lived there. I always say to people, you're paying rent for somewhere that I gave up that tenancy 20 years ago. And even if I did something last year, as long as I've forgiven myself and I've moved on from it, your opinion doesn't pay my rent. Your opinion doesn't buy me a car. Your opinion doesn't help me look after my children, my granddaughter. So it doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. And I want you to get to a stage in your life that people's opinion is just that. It's just an opinion. And if it's still triggering you when someone says something that you're not comfortable with or you don't agree with, then you go and seek the help, because there's no point getting upset and thinking it's affecting them. T.D. Jakes says it best. It's like drinking poison and expecting it to affect the other person. It generally does not affect them. They're moving on with their life. I say to myself, I'm the bounce back girl. Anything that I go through that's been a disappointment in my life, or I've classed it as a disappointment, the next day I get up, I do my hair, I put on my clothes, and I keep going. And some people might be looking like, oh, I thought that thing was going to kill her. I thought that thing was going to stop her. I thought that thing would be damage to her. But no, that thing gave me more power. It gave me more wisdom. I've never took an L in my life apart from lessons. I've never lost anything, because anything that belongs to me, I've still got. Anything that belongs to me is still coming. Anything that wasn't mine has gone, and that's okay. It's learning. It's like being at school, right? You're never going to always stay in class 1. No way. You can't be in year 1 for the rest of your life with the same friends. I guarantee when we was at primary school, we had like 30 friends in our class. And I guarantee we don't know what half of them are doing now. We don't know if they're married. Unfortunately, we don't know if they're dead. We don't know if they live in the same country. We don't know what faith they've picked up. We don't know anything what they're doing with their life. But at that stage in your life, they served their purpose. They were your friend. They're the one that you had your milk with, sat on the carpet with, sang your nursery rhymes with. They all played a part to who you are today. So I want to encourage you, find out who you are today. speak about it. Do not hold it in. Get therapy. Do whatever it is that you need to do, but do it and make sure you do. And then look back on your past, write down things that's happened, and that's most probably 99.9% linked to the purposeful life that you're supposed to be living. And that's why each month I'm going to make sure I have a guest on the show that's going to talk about their pain, their process, and their purpose, their journey, how they got there, why they're there, and why they're not going back to where they used to be. We're not trying to promote anything negative here. We don't care about where you've been. We care about where you're going, purposely, on purpose, in purpose, for a purposeful time, just like this. This is your time, kings and queens, to shine. It's your time to say, actually, I'm no longer going to feel ashamed of where I've been. I'm no longer going to let you govern my life. I'm no longer going to make you tell me, because I didn't do it your way, that there is no other way. There is a way. There's always a way. If you stay in your lane, if you understand who you are, you will always win. There's no time for losing. It's not a part of your portion. It really isn't. Your destiny is great. It's greater than you even think. If you feel like you have a story or something that you want to say and you're tired of being told not to, or you're tired of keeping that secret, or you're tired of people telling you it's not your time, get in contact with us. Come on the podcast with me. Let's have a conversation. Let's free people. And let me tell you something. When I share my story, it's not about just sharing to glamorize the bad stuff or the good stuff. It's to set other women free. I'm a female, so I'm going to set women free. When a man comes on the show, his story should set his brothers free. Do you know what I'm saying? It's about building each other, building back a community, a village, that we're able to change the generation. We can see what's going on. So we need more positive, motivational people to go and say, actually, enough's enough. There is enough positive people that outweighs the negative news that we're always hearing about. And it's time to hear about it. It's time to get it all over social media. Positivity, purpose, power, process, pain. Let's do it. So how did I get the name Purpose? So growing up in South London, you go through a lot of traumatic things. You go through the ins, the outs, the friendship, the relationships, etc. And sometimes you're thinking, why me? Why am I going through so much painful things? And the reason why you go through so much painful things, because there's a process. And throughout that process, then you end up with your purpose. And I believe that you find out your purpose in your pain. And what do I mean by that? I feel like growing up as a young lady, and becoming a teen mum, and then after that doing little small things, getting myself in a bit of trouble and etc., and then going to educational system, and now having my purposeful business. It was all built up because of the childhood that I had. And instead of using my trauma to traumatize me anymore, I used my trauma to transform me into the purposeful woman that I am. And it's not as hard as you may think. All it means is let go in of your past pain and move forward in love, in dignity, and who you are. And this means you have to take off your mask. And that is a hard one sometimes. It's about taking off your mask and really revealing to the world who you are. And yes, that does come with judgment. Come on, who's not going to judge you? Who's not going to be like, oh, she's just that girl that was a teen mum. Oh, she's this. Oh, she's done that. Who cares? Who cares? And you need to get to a stage where you don't care what people think or who people say you are. You've got to know who you are. And that way you start walking in your own lane, and it's comfortable in your own lane. If you're ever in a situation, or you're in a period in your life or a season in your life where you're feeling uncomfortable, that means something isn't right. That means you're doing something that's not in alignment with your purpose, and it's making you feel on edge, or it's making you double guess yourself, or keep on asking people their opinion. When you know you're walking in your full purpose and who you've created to be, you don't need to question people or ask people's opinion. All humans are there for now is to confirm stuff for you. So if I'm doing something and it's great, people might say, oh my God, I saw you doing them things. I knew you'll be able to do that. You'll hear that positive energy. I talk about changing the atmosphere anywhere I go. Now, anywhere I go, I make sure my purpose stands. I go there for a purpose, in purpose, on purpose. And then I start having purposeful conversations with people. Otherwise, there's no point of being there. You've got to ask yourself, why am I at that workplace? What has it got to do with my purpose? Why am I friends with that person? What has it got to do with my purpose? Why am I entangled in these things? What has it got to do with my purpose? And that is a big thing. And I'm going to give you some tricks and trades of how you're going to know if it's for your purpose and if it's not for your purpose. So my first little thing, let me just get my first prompt. So I have these two things. They're a bit of Play-Doh, and they both have their own color. One is orange and one is yellow. And the problem is sometimes you are orange. Yeah, you are walking in your orange season, whatever that may be. That may be your season of getting your job, buying your house, buying your car, doing whatever it is. And, you know, you can feel it and it's all coming together nicely. And, you know, you just feel so great doing all these fantastic things. And then you end up meeting someone who's doing the yellow, and then they try to slow you down, and then you start mixing the two together. And when you start mixing the two together and you start rolling them up, it starts to breed a sense of confusion, because you still can see yourself as an orange thing, but the opinions of the yellow people are now, and I'm not talking about color, I'm just using this as an example, the people of the yellow is starting to be a part of your purpose, but they don't belong there. So they start bringing confusion, they start making you question yourself, and it gives you an opportunity to then, you need to learn how to separate. So you know how to take your time and pick out the yellow bits that don't belong in your purpose. You're going to have to rebuild yourself, and there's nothing wrong with rebuilding. There's nothing wrong with restarting. It's actually a great thing to do. And take your time and take away all the negativity, take away people's opinions, people's ideas of how your business should be. They're giving you business names that don't belong to you. Start taking them bit by bit. And as you keep on praying about it, if you're a prayerful person, as you start analysing it and you start taking it about, you will then find that your orange self comes. And when you look at this bit of orange now, it looks smaller than ever before, because you was entangled in what you didn't need to be entangled with. But if you start taking your time and processing about your purpose, looking at the reasons why you started it, the things that you need to do, you will notice, even though it looks smaller, the time you get rebuild and you're rebuilding yourself and you start spreading back your wings, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And you remember why you didn't let go. You remember who you were. You remember the purposeful person that you were, and things will happen for you again. No one governs your purpose apart from you. So that's just something I really want you guys to think about. And another thing, while you're thinking about that, let me tell you another thing. Separation is so hard. Now, many of you most probably seen sweets like this before, and I'm just using again as an example about separation. Sometimes we have a lot of things, a lot of people around us, you know, and they don't actually mean us no good, but because they knew us from our past, we try and put them in the box, and because we look the same, or we used to wear the same thing, or it's sugar coated the same because we went to the same school, or we had the same business ideas when we was younger, it feels comfortable. But actually what you need to do is start separating that thing by itself. You've got to separate these people, put them in their own groups. You've got to start separating these people and putting them in these groups, and this group and that group. And once you do it, once you have separated and divided people in their rightful place, what they play in your life, in the right circle, excuse me, let me try and get them all in the right circle, okay, here they are, they're separated. And you might have that one good friend that you're always going to be friends with. You've known them from back in the days. They're your cheerleader. It could be your children, your mum, your partner, your husband, your school teacher, whoever it is, that one person that's always cheerleading you. And then you've got the two other people. They believe in you. They might not can support you all the time, but they definitely believe in you. And when you have that phone call, you feel like you've never, ever been apart from them. And you may be having them quite a few times. And then you've got the people that come into your life, and it's a little bit of them. They come into your life, they support your events, and they have lots of opinions and lots of great ideas, and they will bring and help you get to where you need to get to. And then you got this group of people. See, this group looks like the most important, but they're really not. This group of people are collectively watching you to fail. I bet you didn't expect that. The group that is the largest people that are looking for you to fail. You do not need a large set of people to fulfill your purpose. You need the right set of people, or the right person, to help you get where you need to go. So don't look at that your circle's getting smaller. That means you're not going into purpose. The smaller your circle gets, the larger your purpose gets. I want to say that again. The smaller your circle is, the larger your purpose gets, because nobody can stop you walking in your purpose. And once you have done that, once you've understood, okay, I've done all of that, I've separated myself, I've built back, I've looked at the people around me, I understand that I had to let go, I understand that this journey is going to be lonely, but it's going to be purposeful. You got to then start rebuilding. And I'm just going to, hopefully this works and we start rebuilding. And then now you're seeing clearly. So now you've got the boxes and you're seeing clearly, and you start building your purpose with the right people. And it looks at your foundation. How's my foundation? I'm going to start building these blocks, and I'm going to put them down, and I'm going to keep on building. And one day I might have 4 things. And because I believe in myself and I know this is my divine purpose, I'm going to build on top of it. And I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to keep on building on top of it. And you know what can happen sometimes when you're walking in purpose and you're building and you can see things, again, you can get distracted. And when you get distracted, anything can come and knock something off your purpose. And that thing says to you, give up. That one little instant, you're saying, oh my God, you forget about whatever else is standing strong. You think that one little thing can stop you. It can't. It doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down. Get back up. Start building again. Build upon yourself. And then you'll get another idea, another vision. Build upon that vision. And take your time. It's not a rush. It doesn't matter who's driving before you, who's got their car before you, who built their house before you. It really doesn't matter how many holidays people have gone on. You build. You build. You take your time. And eventually you will see that you're building and building and building. And then finally, you'll build that last thing that will connect all of your things together. And that's what I call the root of purpose. This thing on top is what's holding all your fantastic ideas together. This thing on top shows you and makes you see through every single thing. And although you had to go through the friendships, you had to go through separation, you definitely done it for purpose. So I believe in the 3 Ps that anyone knows. I believe in pain, process, purpose. You are a purposeful individual. You are who you are because you're created to do great things. Never, ever let anyone tell you any difference. So what's going to happen on this purposeful talk? So I've been talking, you know, and I'm very successful in everything that I do. I'm very purposeful in everything that I do. And this is something that I want to leave with you today, to say, listen, it doesn't matter even if your ideas is even similar to mine or similar to Jane's or Billy's. It doesn't matter. McDonald's, KFC, Nando's, all 3 of them sell chicken. All 3 of them have their own tribes. They're not intimidated by each other. They complement each other. They have restaurants next to each other. They're not in competition at all. People know what they're going into when they're going to the fast food restaurants. They know what they're going to get. When you know your purpose and you know when you're delivering it to people, make sure they know what they're going to get. You have people around you that's going to help build you. If you want to be a part of Purpose Talks and you want to tell us how you got there through your painful process and to your purpose, hit us up on Facebook, hit us up on Instagram, hit us up on TikTok and every other social media that I've mentioned. Get involved. Let me hear about your purpose, how you done it, why you done it, and who you're doing it with. I'm not going to do too much talking, but this is your girl Purpose. We out.